Hey, what's going on, guys? Chris Bond here, Overtime Athletes. Today, I want to share with you guys some finer details as far as the 40-yard dash start. Some things that I'm looking for, some coaching cues that I help out with some of the guys that I've worked with that do combines or camps, or even myself, some things that help me out. To start it off, I've made a couple videos on this, so I'm just going to run through the initial setup. But initial setup, what I typically like to do and where a benchmark I like to start. Now, mind you, some guys have different joint angles, so depending on that, either some guys are better hugging the line or some guys are better farther away from the line. And I got that through a gentleman named Ralph Mann, who's one of the best speed coaches in the business. But basically what he did was he invented a machine that hooks up to each joint angle and essentially shows your best acceleration, your best 4 or 5 steps, because really that's what starts the entire race. If you don't set that up and get that, the most improvement through that, you won't see a drastic increase in your speed. But what I like to do as a benchmark is I like to start, toes on the line. I go half foot back, then I go a full foot back, and then I go 90 degrees. That's usually where I start athletes out, and then from there I'm able to go ahead and adjust if they need to come a little bit closer or come a little bit further away depending on that athlete. From there, a couple things that I want to do from a top-down perspective. So what I really like to do is to set them up to properly load their hips. I want the proper angle at their hip to shoulder length. So when you're coming down, I like the hips slightly higher than the shoulders, and they're able to really draw those angles forward and keep the spine in as alignment as possible, right? So if you see here, my back is completely flat and I'm exploding straight out, and what I really want to focus on is being able to create a hydraulic pressure in that torso region. So I actually advise my athletes to tuck that chin, put the tongue on the roof of the mouth, right? You're relaxed, tongue on the roof of the mouth, and be able to brace your torso the same way that you would when you're in a squat, right? And some guys do the Valsalva movement where they actually hold their breath. I basically create the same thing through that body, right? Because running is the same as if you were doing a total body movement, right? It is a total body movement, but you're transferring energy, right? Through your sling systems, your upper and lower body, you're transferring energy. So why would you not want to keep this braced and contracted? So I actually teach my athletes the first 5-10 meters, they're actually holding their breath, releasing it when they feel comfortable. And then some athletes are obviously a little bit different, but when it comes to the start, you're actually holding that and keeping that hydraulic pressure through your torso to efficiently transfer energy as fast as possible. Next, to load the hip, right? If I'm here, I want to get the most bang for my buck out of both my hips. If I tell you right here to do a broad jump with just your power leg, and then I have you do one staggered stance with both legs, which one do you think is going to be further? Obviously the one where you're getting power out of both legs. So I really try to focus by teaching my athletes to explode out with both hips, right, or both legs, utilizing the power from 2 legs as opposed to just one. I do that by teaching the athlete to visualize that they have about 70% loaded in this front leg and 30% loaded in this back leg, almost like you want to contract this back butt cheek here. Next, coming down even further, like I said, my next biggest thing is making sure my angles are on point. So when you're coming and we're getting that push, I want to make sure that we're mimicking our best angles. So we're here as opposed to upright here. If you see my knee, how high it is to the ground compared to here, I want to be here, so I'm already setting myself up in the best angle to drive and push forward. And that's just physics. We're trying to apply as much force into the ground, pushing out. Finally, when it comes to the feet, I want to stay as keep as much dorsiflexion as possible, right? So what a lot of athletes like to do, and to make it more efficient, Chris, if you could come around here, if you see this back leg, when I'm down, a lot of athletes like to have that heel really high. Well, when they go to apply force, the first movement is usually down and back. So instead of creating that movement, we want to actually draw that heel down and back and keep that there immediately. So when we drive off, boom, it's efficient to be able to push right here and here every single time. And that's just setting you up for dorsiflexion. So 3 quick things: finer tuning. A, spine in a complete alignment. Take a picture of you in your stance, make sure you're in alignment. Take a picture in your first, second step, make sure the spine's still in alignment, chin tucked. 2, let's keep bracing in the torso. So tongue on the roof of the mouth, hold your breath. I hate to say hold your breath, but basically embrace your torso the same way you would as if you were performing a back squat. Hold that breath till about 5 to 10 yards out, right? And then you release as you go. Number 3, shin angles. Number 4, drawing that hip down, drawing that heel down, keeping the ankles dorsiflexed as possible. Couple finer tuned things to do or to focus on your 40-yard dash. Maybe I'll make another video on a couple more things that I look for when I'm teaching this. Hope that helps. I'll catch you next time. Yo, what's going on, fellas? Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in getting faster as an athlete, go ahead and click my advanced series right here, where I provide you with free lessons to make you become faster. I'll see you inside.